I'm going to tell you a story of the first thing after it's done. It's time to work the way you know you call me Oracle. No one's talking to you. Welcome to the cult. I'm welcome once again to put it tickled in the show. I'm going to shift gears from the my complaints about magic in the real world to some much more mundane complaints. Now, I've been watching this show. It's called Lazarus. It's great. I love it. I love it. But Lazarus did me dirty in 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 episode 12. And this is how Lazarus did me dirty. So there's this character in it. Douglas Hadim. And Douglas Hadim is one of the core 5 Lazarus members. There's Doug, Axel, Elena, Chris, who's a woman, and Axel, Doug, Chris, Elena, and Laszlo? Leland, and Leland Astor. And so, like, it's the core concept of it is this guy named Skinner came up with this medicine called Hopna, and basically engineered it so after a certain amount of time it would basically start killing off everyone who taken it. And basically it came to a point where pretty much the entire world had taken it. And so it was basically like a race against time in order to find this guy who had the cure for the condition that the drug that he made would induce. And Lazarus is a team of 5 people who's put together by this woman named Hirsch in order to track down Dr. Skinner. And as, like, shows that this kind have, over the course of the past 12 episodes, we've seen backstory on, like, most of the characters. Like, whole episode done for backstory on Leland, on Elena, who has a killer, like, crazy backstory, by the way. On Chris. A large part of Axel's backstory keeps being revisited throughout the series, but we've got, like, nothing on Douglas Hadim. We got nothing. In terms of the core 5 characters that we see in the series, we have the series opening with Axel in a prison cell, standing, like, doing a handstand on one hand, and, like, doing, like, backflips up to the cell door to the guard when the guard tells him he has a visitor. And then we cut to Douglas in the car, asking the AI in the car to play him some music with the vibe of a man who sold his soul to the devil. Something along those lines. And so Douglas is the only one we haven't seen any backstory on. And end of episode 12, there is literally 1 day left in the basically the countdown that got initiated in episode 1, where basically Skinner appeared on all social media, like video sharing things. It was like, yeah, so you got 30 days to find me, or boom, we all gone. And so there's like 1 day left, and Douglas is in the hospital after something happened. He's like, man, I'm in a hospital again. I haven't been like this since the incident. I'm like, you, Peter Lacanni, you evil writers, you. How dare you tease backstory with 1 episode left? How dare you? So I'm booty tickled about that. Okay, and now here's another thing. So there's a couple, there's also there's actually a thing about, in Lazarus, there is this whole thing about this assassin who was, like, basically, more or less trained through some sort of program to have DID as an assassin, which is just, in my opinion, dumb. Like, okay, I guess it's like, not a terrible concept, and one that's actually been used before in spy thrillers and like different sort of like movies and stuff. I can't really think of others off the top of my head, but they're definitely doing it in Lazarus. And the thing about that they're showing in Lazarus that like is why it's a bad idea is the product of such an experiment couldn't be anything but unstable, because like he goes on this like the assassin that is created for this program goes on this like whole like full on breakdown where like he can't handle like not having an identity because essentially who he used to be essentially got erased, and then all he had was like the assassin that wakes up to go kill people and like his handler and and like the shambles of who he used to be, sort of like vaguely trying to figure out who they are. That's what would happen if you tried to make an assassin with DID. So I'm booty tickled about that core concept by itself. And then here's the last thing I'm booty tickled about. So there's this core concept that I've actually talked about a couple other times previously in the show in Taoism called Hunden. Now, Hunden is a state of primordial chaos that is actually also associated with like a primordial beast that kind of looks like a wonton with wings. I'm not even joking. But it is referenced specifically as this beast that had like holes bored into its face in Lazarus episode 11. And I was like, I've never heard that. So I went looking, and that is actually from this this book or this like set of Chinese legends that is very important to Taoism and actually bore into like the bringing of Buddhism into China around 100 AD from a set of books or a set of stories called Zhengji by a man named or referred to as Zhang Zhou or Zhuangzhou. And it's a series of short stories um, from a dude who is born around 369 BC and died variously between 301, 295, or 286 BC. So these are like old stories. And some of you may be getting specifically booty tickled in this way that I'm about to talk about. So I was looking into like the death of the Hunden in terms of like the legend. And so here is another well-known passage. This is from Wikipedia. The death of Wonton. Another well-known passage dubbed the death of Wonton illustrates the dangers Zhang Zhou saw in going against the innate nature of things. The emperor of the southern seas was Lickity. The emperor of the northern sea was Split. Now this is from before Christ. The emperor of the northern sea was Split. The southern seas was Lickity. And the emperor of the center was Wonton. Lickity and Split often met each other in the land of Wonton, and Wonton treated them very well. Wanting to repay Wonton's kindness, Lickity and Split said, all people have 7 holes for seeing, 2 hearing, 2 eating and breathing. Wonton alone lacks them. Let's try boring some holes for him. So every day they bored 1 hole in him, and on the 7th day Wonton died. So, like, Wonton is essentially the Hunden. Like, that is actually a very not inaccurate way of Lazarus bringing this legend, the death of Wonton, into reference of the Hunden, because of the Hunden, like, dying because of people, like, who felt sad for the Hunden having a lack of a face, boring holes into it. And I guess, like, this whole, like, the whole legend of the death of Wonton is basically how they programmed this dude to have DID. But, like, I'm done on that point right now. I am here for Lickity and Split. Is the death of Wonton how the phrase, "let's get this done, lickety split" happened? Because if that's the case, that's literally about two dudes boring holes into something to give it a face and ending up killing it. I am mad booty tickled and a bit freaked out in the lickety splits now. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe.